My patient Donald came to see me on a Tuesday afternoon, and the first thing he said when he sat down was not hello. He said, "Dr. Albert, I was driving home last Sunday, and I suddenly realized I couldn't read the highway signs until I was almost underneath them. I used to see those signs from half a mile away. Something is wrong, and nobody has told me what to do about it." Donald was 67. He was otherwise healthy. He walked every morning. He watched his diet. He had no idea that for the past 3 years, his retina had been slowly losing the very pigment that protects central vision. And nobody had told him, because at his last eye exam, his prescription had barely changed. The doctor said, "You're doing fine." And Donald went home thinking his eyes were fine. They were not fine. The protection was eroding, silently, the way it does in millions of people over 60 right now, watching this video, who have also been told they are doing fine. Here is what I want you to understand before we go any further. Vision loss after 60 rarely announces itself with a dramatic event. It withdraws, quietly. A little more light needed to read comfortably, a little more difficulty seeing clearly at dusk. The edges of the world getting slightly softer in ways you write off as tiredness. These are not signs of tiredness. They are signs that your retina needs something it is not getting. And tonight, before you go to bed, there is one fruit that research suggests can begin addressing that at the cellular level. Stay with me, because what I am going to tell you about this fruit is almost certainly not what you have heard before. My name is Dr. Albert. I've been practicing medicine for 32 years, and a significant portion of my clinical work has involved older adults dealing with age-related changes to their vision. I am not here to frighten you. I am here to give you the kind of information that most eye health conversations skip entirely. The kind that connects what you eat tonight to what your retina is doing while you sleep. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand that connection in a way that may genuinely change what you do before bed starting tonight. After the age of 60, the eye begins to lose ground in ways that most people attribute simply to getting older. And while aging is a real factor, what researchers have discovered is that several of the most damaging processes inside the aging eye are not inevitable. They are modifiable. The macula is the small central zone of the retina responsible for everything you do that requires sharp, detailed vision. Reading, recognizing a face across the room, seeing the fine print on a prescription label. The macula is the most important real estate in your entire visual system, and it is also the most vulnerable. According to the National Eye Institute, age-related macular degeneration is the leading cause of significant vision loss in Americans over the age of 50. Studies show that by age 75, nearly 1 in 3 people has some signs of macular change that will affect their quality of life. But here is the part of this conversation that most people never hear. The macula has a natural defense system. It is called the macular pigment. And unlike the lens of the eye or the structure of the retinal blood vessels, macular pigment density is directly and measurably influenced by what you eat. This is not a fringe idea. It is one of the best documented findings in nutritional ophthalmology over the last 3 decades. The question is not whether diet affects your retinal health. The research settled that long ago. The question is what specifically to eat, when to eat it, and why the timing actually matters biologically. Those are the 3 things I am going to answer for you today. Let me explain what is actually happening inside your eye as the years pass, because once you understand the mechanism, the solution makes immediate sense. Think of the macula like a high-performance camera lens. A camera lens works brilliantly as long as its internal coatings are intact. Those coatings filter out glare, reduce scatter, and protect the delicate optical surface beneath them. But if those coatings wear thin, the lens does not stop working all at once. It just works a little less precisely, a little more haze, a little less contrast, a little more vulnerability to damage from bright light. That is precisely what happens when macular pigment density declines. The macular pigment is composed primarily of 2 carotenoids called lutein and zeaxanthin. Your body cannot manufacture these compounds. Every molecule of lutein and zeaxanthin protecting your macula right now arrived there through your diet. The body absorbs them, transports them through the bloodstream, and then preferentially deposits them in macular tissue, where they perform two critical jobs. First, they absorb the high-energy blue spectrum light that would otherwise strike your photoreceptors directly and generate damaging oxidative stress. Second, they act as direct antioxidants inside the photoreceptor layer itself, neutralizing the free radicals that accumulate during a lifetime of normal visual processing. Now, here is where aging enters the picture. As you get older, the efficiency of carotenoid absorption from food decreases. Digestion slows. The gut lining becomes less efficient at absorbing fat-soluble compounds. And if dietary intake of the right carotenoids has been low or inconsistent, the macular pigment layer thins gradually over years. The camera coating fades. Simultaneously, a second process is underway. Chronic, low-grade inflammation in the retinal tissue quietly accelerates photoreceptor breakdown. And a third process, the glycation of the lens proteins, begins laying the groundwork for cataracts as glucose molecules bond to the crystalline proteins of the lens over decades, slowly introducing cloudiness the way condensation slowly fogs a window from the inside. You cannot wipe it from the outside. It is happening within the structure itself. These three processes, macular pigment depletion, retinal inflammation, and lens glycation, are the primary biological drivers of age-related vision decline. And the fruit I am about to describe addresses all three through mechanisms that research has specifically documented. The fruit is papaya. Now, I know some of you are nodding, and I know some of you are already thinking, I have heard about papaya before. I want to ask you to stay with me, because what I am about to explain about papaya is almost certainly not what you have heard before. Most discussions about papaya and eye health mention vitamin C and antioxidants and leave it there. What the research actually shows goes considerably further, and the detail about why bedtime is the optimal consumption window is something that most eye health conversations never reach at all. Let me walk you through the four mechanisms. The first thing to understand is the zeaxanthin story. Papaya contains one of the most bioavailable forms of zeaxanthin of any commonly available fruit. Zeaxanthin is not a general antioxidant that benefits the eye as a side effect of benefiting the whole body. It is a retina-specific compound. After absorption from the gut, the body actively and selectively concentrates zeaxanthin in macular tissue. It does not distribute it evenly throughout the body the way it distributes vitamin C or other antioxidants. It delivers it specifically to the macula. The landmark AREDS2 trial, one of the most significant nutritional intervention studies in the history of ophthalmology, conducted by the National Eye Institute, confirmed that consistent, adequate dietary zeaxanthin is associated with measurable reduction in the risk of AMD progression and with meaningful increases in macular pigment optical density over 8 to 12 weeks of consistent intake. The next mechanism is one that surprises many people. The aqueous humor, the clear fluid filling the front chamber of your eye, maintains vitamin C concentrations 20 to 30 times higher than those found in your blood plasma. This is not a coincidence. The eye actively pumps and concentrates vitamin C in this fluid because it is the primary antioxidant shield protecting the cells of the lens from oxidative damage. When aqueous humor vitamin C levels fall, and they do fall as dietary intake becomes inconsistent and as age reduces the efficiency of vitamin C transport, the lens becomes more vulnerable to the glycation process I described earlier. 1 cup of ripe papaya delivers over 90 milligrams of highly bioavailable vitamin C. Research confirms that consistent dietary vitamin C intake supports the maintenance of aqueous humor antioxidant concentrations that protect the lens. Now this one is the mechanism that truly sets papaya apart from every other fruit commonly discussed in eye health conversations. Papaya contains a proteolytic enzyme called papain. Papain has been shown in research to inhibit the glycation of crystalline lens proteins, meaning it directly interferes with the glucose-protein bonding process that lays the foundation for cataract formation. This mechanism exists in no other widely available fruit, not blueberries, not kiwi, not any of the other fruits typically recommended for eye health. This is papaya's unique contribution to lens protection, and it is one of the most clinically specific things a dietary compound can do for the aging eye. The fourth mechanism involves two carotenoids called lycopene and beta-cryptoxanthin, both present in significant concentrations in deeply orange, ripe papaya. Both have been shown to inhibit the specific inflammatory signaling pathways that drive chronic retinal inflammation and accelerate photoreceptor degeneration. Research published in the journal Nutrients documented measurable increases in macular pigment optical density following consistent daily papaya consumption in adults over 60, alongside reductions in retinal inflammatory markers. These are not theoretical benefits. They are measured biological changes in the retinal tissue. So we have four mechanisms operating simultaneously: macular pigment rebuilding through zeaxanthin, lens antioxidant protection through vitamin C, lens glycation inhibition through papain, and retinal anti-inflammatory protection through lycopene and beta-cryptoxanthin. No other single commonly available fruit covers all four of these pathways together. Now let me explain the bedtime timing, because this is the detail that changes everything. The retina does not rest when you sleep. It repairs. During sleep, the retinal pigment epithelium, the layer of cells beneath your photoreceptors, performs intensive renewal and regeneration work. Old photoreceptor discs are shed and replaced. Repair enzymes are activated. The accumulated oxidative damage of the day's visual processing is addressed during this overnight biological maintenance window. This retinal repair activity is most intensive during the early hours of sleep. Consuming papaya 60 to 90 minutes before sleep means that peak absorption of its zeaxanthin, vitamin C, lycopene, and beta-cryptoxanthin aligns with the opening of this retinal repair window. The compounds arrive in the bloodstream and begin reaching retinal tissue precisely when the retina is most actively using antioxidant resources for regeneration. This is not a minor detail. It is the biological rationale for why before bed specifically produces better outcomes than consuming the same fruit at any other time of day. If what you are hearing right now is giving you clear, specific, actionable information about your own eye health, I would ask you to subscribe to this channel. My purpose here is to give you the kind of medically grounded health information that helps you protect the things that matter most: your independence, your quality of life, and your ability to see the faces of the people you love clearly as you age. Subscribe, and you will not miss what is coming next. Let me come back to Donald. After that Tuesday visit, I sat with him for a while and explained exactly what was happening inside his macula and why his last eye exam had not caught it. I told him that a standard prescription check does not measure macular pigment density. It measures the vision you still have, not the protection that is guarding the vision you have not yet lost. Those are two completely different measurements, and most people over 60 have never had the second one done. I started Donald on a simple protocol: 1 cup of deeply orange ripe papaya 60 to 90 minutes before bed, paired every night with a small handful of walnuts for fat-soluble carotenoid absorption. 12 weeks later, Donald came back. He had had his macular pigment optical density tested for the first time. His baseline, measured at the beginning, had been low. At 12 weeks, it had increased measurably. His ophthalmologist, who had told him at the last visit only to monitor and return in a year, asked him what had changed. When Donald described the protocol, the ophthalmologist said, "Whatever you are doing, Keep doing it. But what I remember most from that follow-up visit was not the number on the test result. It was what Donald said when he sat down. He said, "I feel like I stopped waiting for things to get worse and started doing something about it." That is exactly what I want for every person watching this. Here is the precise protocol, and every detail has a reason. The first action is to choose ripe, deeply orange papaya specifically. The zeaxanthin and beta-cryptoxanthin content of papaya correlates directly with the depth of orange color in the flesh. Pale, underripe papaya delivers a fraction of the active compounds of deeply orange ripe fruit. If the papaya available at your store is pale and firm, take it home and ripen it at room temperature for 2 to 3 days until the flesh deepens. Do not refrigerate during ripening because cold temperatures slow carotenoid development. The color is not cosmetic. It is your dosing guide. The second action is fat pairing, and this is not optional. Zeaxanthin, lycopene, and beta-cryptoxanthin are fat-soluble compounds. Without dietary fat present in the gut at the time of consumption, a significant proportion of these carotenoids passes through unabsorbed, regardless of how much papaya you consume. 4 to 5 walnuts alongside the papaya serves a dual purpose. The fat enables carotenoid absorption. The omega-3 fatty acids in walnuts independently support retinal membrane health. Published research shows that fat co-consumption increases carotenoid bioavailability by 50 to 100% compared to consuming the same fruit without fat. This pairing is the absorption mechanism. The third action is to ask your doctor specifically for macular pigment optical density testing at your next eye appointment. Standard visual acuity checks do not measure this. MPOD testing is available at many ophthalmology practices and optometry clinics. It gives you a direct measurement of the protective pigment concentration in your macula, and it allows you to establish a baseline before beginning this protocol and retest after 12 weeks to objectively verify whether the dietary intervention is producing retinal change. You cannot manage what you do not measure. The fourth action is to give the protocol 12 weeks of consistency before evaluating it. Macular pigment density accumulates gradually through consistent dietary delivery of the right carotenoids over weeks, not days. A single serving of papaya is not an intervention. 12 weeks of nightly consistent consumption is. The biological work begins immediately. The measurable result follows after the tissue has had sufficient time to accumulate the protective pigment. And the fifth action is to pair this dietary effort with blue light management. The macular pigment that papaya is helping you rebuild functions as the retina's built-in blue light filter. Every evening of unfiltered screen exposure works against what the papaya is working to protect. Use a warm color temperature setting on your phone, tablet, and television after sunset. This habit costs nothing and compounds the retinal protection that consistent papaya consumption is building. Together, they are meaningfully more protective than either alone. Your eyes are not just sensory organs. They are the way you read the faces of your grandchildren, the way you navigate your home safely in the morning, the way you continue to live independently, on your own terms, with full engagement in the world around you. Vision is not a small thing. It is a quality of life thing. And the biology of retinal protection is more modifiable than most people over 60 have ever been told. The macular pigment that guards your central vision can be measured. It can be improved. It can be supported consistently, starting tonight, with 1 cup of deeply orange, ripe papaya paired with a small handful of walnuts, 60 to 90 minutes before you sleep. I want to hear from you now. When was the last time you had a full retinal examination? Not just a prescription check, but a complete assessment of the back of your eye. Tell me in the comments. And if you have ever been told that your macular pigment density was low, or if you have received any diagnosis related to your retinal health, I want to know that too. I read every comment on this channel personally. If today gave you something specific and immediately actionable, please share this video with someone you love who is over 60. You may be giving them the protocol that changes what their next eye examination shows. That is not a small act. That is care. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next video, where I am going to walk you through the single daily habit that most damages vision after 60. Something most people do for hours every day with no awareness that their eyesight is paying the price. You will want to see that before tonight. I am Dr. Albert. Take care of your eyes. Start tonight.